What's up, guys? Welcome back to the That So Dev podcast. My name is Dev. Thank you so much for tuning in today. I appreciate you. We have some tea to get into today. But before we get into the tea, make sure you go ahead and follow me at That So Dev on Twitter, Instagram, and literally everywhere else, including Blue Sky. I am making my transfer over slowly but surely. It's actually happening. Love that for me. Now, speaking of the tea, obviously by clicking on this title, you already know what this is about and who this is about, right? So we've got to discuss Katy Perry because I feel like I've avoided the topics for several reasons, including an NDA. And trust me, we're steering clear of all of those concerning topics. But what we are going to talk about today is Katy Perry and I guess all of the factors that have gone into why her most recent album has not done very well. And I feel like that's kind of an understatement. And I feel like the people who didn't want this album to succeed and who didn't care if it did, I can't be mad at them for that, right? And here's the thing. So Katy Perry, I believe it was her manager who recently had said that it was their idea. It was somebody on their team, right? Let's just say that, generally speaking, who said it was their idea to have her work with Dr. Luke again. And if you haven't known the situation with him and Kesha, do your research because T, right? And so after knowing said T and continuing to work with this person and platforming them, it has made people feel away, right? And let's get into it, right? Let's let's get into the whole thing because if you half-ass talk about this topic, I don't feel like it gets you anywhere. And come on, it is Dr. Luke. Dr. Luke has produced some of the biggest songs that you know, and some of the biggest songs. Well, not some of the biggest songs, but some of the most under the radar songs that you also know. Mm. I got my wine for this one, y'all. If I take a little break, I'm getting a good sip in because this shit is kind of crazy. And there's a lot of perspectives to take in here. And I know one can instantly say, no, it's not. No, there's not. And I think that when you are in the entertainment industry, you, although you have your core values, what lines you personally don't cross or excuse, you have your own boundaries, right? But you begin to see that from the standpoint of the industry, not everything is black and white, right? So here's one kind of thing that I feel like people may not consider. So again, he's produced some of the biggest songs and some of the most underrated songs that people do know that are cult classics. Well, people still stream those songs. Right now, let's also for a little comparison here before you drag a bitch. Right, the biggest thing in the black community was not platforming R. Kelly and not streaming his music. You know, not funding him, make none of that shit. Right, that has been stone fucking cold. And whenever he does pop up where somebody has in any sort of way, even if it's playing his music, having it in a playlist, you have been condemned, right? I want to keep that perspective there. Now, we have, again, I repeat for the third time, he has produced some of the biggest songs. And those songs are still streamed today. They are. And the music industry is so intricate, right? because even some of the potentially biggest songs that maybe never came out, maybe they're still demos, right? Maybe they're still being passed around after years and years, which is a very real thing. There are songs that have been passed around for years and years and years and have gone to several different artists just to land up, to land in one person's lap that it ends up being a hit for. That's what happens. And it's so super interesting because his beats flies everywhere. They're everywhere. Somebody's going to give you, oh, I got this song from this beat for so and so. I'm gonna play it for you. Do you like it? Do you want it? Maybe the artist knows that it's Dr. Luke. Maybe they don't. They end up recording songs, releasing it. Next thing you know, it's Say So by Doja Cat. Next thing you know, it's Super Freaky Girl by Nicki Minaj. It's a bunch of people and pop culture who end up using beats in which he's associated in any form of fashion. And it funds him. When people stream Party in the USA, every single celebration, that funds Dr. Luke. E.T., any of those biggest hit songs that are played on the radio that you play every day that are staples in your lives, that music funds him. He gets revenue. Period. So it is a super interesting thing, right? When Katy Perry does go to collaborate with him and create some songs on this album. They didn't do a whole album. He's not executive producer, right? So they do some songs. And again, I can't fault anybody for feeling how they feel about it because me personally, oh, hell no. Absolutely not. Right? Because again, everybody has their own boundaries, things that they wouldn't cross. But from an industry perspective, not everything is black and white, right? And it's going to be up to you what areas of that you're comfortable with, because sometimes it may mean you may or may not have a job. It may mean you may or may not be blacklisted. So it is up to each individual person, period. And you don't know what anybody's context is. You don't know what their life is. You don't know what their circumstance is. These are just perspectives that I feel like people don't think about, right? So she has been demonized, but you'll continuously go and press play on his songs. I mean, look, and I can see from the perspective people are saying, Katy Perry has consciously made the decision to work with him. And even though somebody on her team, she's an adult, right? Even if somebody on her team has suggested that, oh, you should do this. Me personally, why would you think that was a good idea? Why would you take that on? You know, leading up to the album before it even came out, first of all, couldn't have imagined that the album had the sound that it did. And let's be clear, I don't think it's a bad album. I actually think it's a pretty good album. I actually like a couple songs on the album, at least 5. It's true. I don't know how many tracks is on it. Actually, let me look that up now. I'm actually pretty curious to see how many tracks that are on there now. Let's see. Miss Katy Perry. Let's see. 14. So she had 15 songs on this album. And I like Woman's World is a cute song if we were back in like California girl days, right? But let's see, I like Gimme Gimme, I like Gorgeous, I like I'm His, He's Mine, Crush, Lifetimes, Nirvana. So I like about a good 6 songs on this album. And I'm His, He's Mine, I actually didn't like it, but I think Doechii is the reason why I do like that song, because she gave the song the flavor that it needed. And whoever decided to get her on the track, you did a phenomenal job. Congratulations, you did your job. Sip the wine, girl. Mm. Now, I, again, industry perspective. Not everything's black and white. I for me personally, I can't understand why she would want to do it. And again, leading up to the album, I feel like the biggest perspective that she pushed on everybody was that she was really getting back to this sound, right? Almost like she was going to reheat her nachos. And it was just unbelievable to me that she risked it all for this, because if you were going to risk it all, right? I'm gonna go back to the hit maker that's made the biggest hits, especially with me and my Teenage Dream album, right? Because we're all thinking reheat your nachos time, thank God. And well, there were no nachos. Not a nacho in sight. None. Nope. None. No cheese. No nothing. It was water. Not even sparkling. Just water. No flavor. Nothing. Girl, I said, I had the biggest sigh in the world, because when Woman's World came out, I fucking rolled my eyes. I did. Because I was like, I have to also be careful with the information that I choose to share, which is why I may take a little pause. But I'm just sitting here thinking of the sound of Woman's World, and, you know, from the teaser of it, it seemed like a high quality video, which it definitely is a high quality video for sure. It has all of the personality of Katy Perry. I've been fortunate enough to see Katy Perry in a more intimate setting, and I've been able to see her in her personality, and how she acts on stage, and how goofy she acts, and then the antics. Like, it's her. That is authentically her, and she's such a nice person, and I feel like she works very hard. I feel like she's tired a lot of the time, but you know, it, I feel like she does have good character. I feel like some of the business moves that she has made is questionable, because it's like, honestly, it's one of those examples of Tate McRae collaborating with Morgan Wallen. It's not going to end her career, but it is going to sabotage her reputation. And it's not going to end Katy Perry's career. She's still going to sell tickets. People are still going to be behind her. She is Katy Perry, period. It doesn't matter what you have to say. And, I see a lot of dragging of her every single day. And, you know, it's so difficult, because, again, I have been fortunate to really see a person beyond all the cameras and stuff, and to see what people say online about them. And you know, as from the context, as much context as I have, right? I know that that may not entirely reflect the person that they're talking about. And then you have the other side of it, where you can't be mad at them because of her choice to work with somebody who do a quick Google search in regards to, you know, right? Because I'm not going to get sued today, baby. But the tea. And I don't know, Katie. Like, what's tea? I I cannot for the life of me understand, why wouldn't you hit up Max Martin? Like, come on. Why wouldn't you go dig up Max fucking Martin and work with him? All of these hit makers. You've worked with several hit makers. Hello. And here's what also got me. Because the Lifetimes tours, it just started, right? And I hadn't seen anything about it. Not a thing. Not a thing. I've just been avoiding Twitter like the fucking plague. I have. I don't even get on it like a fraction of what I used to. I get on there, I promote, I maybe say what I gotta say, I advocate, and I move on. Like, it's not an investment in my life, period. But I see this video, right? And it doesn't look that bad from the video that they've used. and they're dragging her down, and they're saying the most horrendous things about her. And I'm like, you know, I'm seeing a moment where, again, I've been fortunate to be in a position to see that this person being goofy and, this is their personality on stage. You're dragging them for their personality, kind of making it seem like they're being cheap, weird, or whatever. And that's still kind of the same thing that kind of made Nicki Minaj step away from her animation and step away from a theater aspect of herself that was really central to who she was. And I was like, oh my goodness, like, come on now. You know what I mean? This is really her. This is her putting herself into her creations, her work, her tour. People want to see that. They don't want to see some artificial version of them. Come on. Anywho, so, you know, and here's where I gotta sip my wine. Hold on. Mm-mm. Because here's the tea, and I kind of ate my words a little bit, right? And I still meant every word I said. Period. Every word I said, I meant that. But I watched another video, and I'm watching her kind of do this fight scene. I don't know. Maybe it's like reminding me of like Mulan with a stick or like some Karate Kid type shit, right? And it was really serving me. Go girl, service nothing. Like, you know, the waiter got the plates. The plates was hot. Brought the plate out to me, and literally the plate was empty. And I was like, Katie, oh, it's getting hard to defend you because I'm watching these videos and it's not serving, and it's not the production in itself, because everybody's saying that the tour in itself had zero production, right? And I don't think it's the fact that the production had $0, but it seems like she's kind of up there and just going through the motions. And it also brings me to kind of another perspective of this, where I remember, after the album came out, she was doing a couple live tours outside of the country or whatever. And, she was crying on stage, like pretty hard. And it was very clear that something was wrong. And why would you be crying upon the release of your album? And I just can't help but think that, she had really high expectations for this album in this era. She left American Idol to focus on her career and blah, 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 and all of this stuff. And she took a lot of risks going into this era, and they didn't pay off. She made some bad business moves, and it screwed her. And that sucks. And she kind of has to deal with that and figure out how to rehabilitate her career. And honestly, this is a time for her to go back to the drawing board and actually reheat your nachos. Reheating your nachos in this case right now may actually benefit you. It may remind you of who you are. You know, I feel like that this is something that she kind of, maybe she needed this moment. I don't know. I'm thinking that this is going to be where she kind of wakes up, because she's always been Katy Perry. She'll always be Katy Perry. She'll always have people at her shows, whether the choreography is serving energy or not. And that's just the reality of it. But is she going to be satisfied with what she's given, with the feedback? And I'm sure after a long time of not having super mainstream success, that she has probably learned to accept the fact that it just may not come right now. And she could drop a sickening pop song in a video and chart. And you know I think that Katy Perry could definitely sell a single, but it's very clear that she's having a difficult time selling an album. And I don't know what it is. I mean, when I think about Teenage Dream, I don't tend to think about Teenage Dream as overall album. I tend to think about the fact that she has several freaking hits on this album, right? And is that her tea? Is Katy Perry's tea that she sells a single but not an album? And and it's difficult to say because I almost want to say, well, is it that she sells individual songs within a body of work better than she sells the body of work? So, like, does she need to adjust how she approaches selling her music? Like, there's a lot of things in question. I don't know. It's interesting. And I'm interested to see where she is going to go next with her career. Because with all of this being said, you're going to have a tough time having people on your side. But also at the same time, right? I do remember when Lifetimes came out, people were more susceptible to Lifetimes. And I do believe this era would have been entirely different if she would have started it off with literally any other song. Like, I mean, I could tell you several songs that I do like on this album. Like, I mean, come on. If you'd have done Gimme Gimme, Gorgeous, the song with Doechii, Crush, Lifetimes, you could have done any other song. Woman's World was like reheating your nachos and the nachos were stale. Like, I'm so serious. It's like the nachos were stale. Like, I don't know. You put the nachos in the microwave instead of the air fryer. Like, girl, be for real. I could not, like, it just was not well done. I mean, the contrast between, and this is not a comparison, Abracadabra, like, yes, girl, you put those nachos in the air fryer, they're crispy again. Absolutely. Yep. It's still quality. You did a very, it's the technique for me. Ugh, my goodness. Let me see, because I wonder, is Dr. Luke on Woman's World? I wonder if it'll show me
Playing
in
from
the app.
iPhone.
I know you're playing from iPhone. I connected you, girl. Let's see. Okay, I don't see Dr. Luke inside the. Oh, yes. Well, girl, I have no words because I haven't, really spoke too much about what I think personally. And to end this podcast, I think I'm going to. Let me sip my wine. Look, y'all, I don't, and I've said it 3 times that I don't know why she would do this because I'm still trying to figure that out. But part of me also knows, I've mentioned it, because she wanted to try to reheat her nachos, yet go on a different route at the same time, and it just didn't work out for her. But I think it was such an insane decision to choose to work with him despite knowing the tea. It's not a secret to anybody. And it feels very tone deaf. All things considered, all things going on in the world, right? And then to have the first song off of your album be called Woman's World, a woman's support type anthem, while you chose to collab with him. I mean, think about how hypocritical that sounds. That's nasty work. Why would you do that? Did she think that, well, I'm Katy Perry, I am a brand and it's not personal, it's business and blah, 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 blah. Well, how did that work out? Because it seems to be impacting you personally now because you didn't get the era that you wanted. And my goodness, I am rooting for her. I want to see Katy Perry have the comeback that we all would like to see from her. Because despite what anybody is saying, if Katy Perry came back with an album that was an elevated teenage dream in a different direction, this industry would go crazy. Even the biggest hater would be bopping it. Let's be real. Because no matter if it's mainstream success or not, she's going to get dragged the same way. I mean, at this point, it's tea. And I hate that for her, but that is what this business move did. This business move has made some of her core fans disconnect. And again, she'll still sell tickets. Look at her tours. I mean, them stadium's not empty. Mm. And just because she's not in a stadium tour doesn't mean anything. It really doesn't. So, truth be told, if her career would have been as consistent as it was with her first couple of albums, she probably would be there by now, for sure. For sure. But I think that American Idol kind of helped get her back into the mainstream public eye, but her business move just kind of ruined that. So it's kind of like you might as well have stayed with American Idol. That's what it's giving. But of course, I mean, she can't bail out on the tour now. She already planned the tour with the album, had everything planned. I'm sure if she probably could, she'd probably do another album. And I mean, who's to say that she won't do another album immediately? I think that she should. I don't think she should waste time. She knows what the people want. She knows what she wants. So I'm not sure why she's not, popping them nachos up in that motherfucking air fryer. I'm dead ass. Anywho, but I mean, there's not too much for me to say personally about how I feel about it. I feel like it has come out as very clear that I don't agree with her decision. And I can't be mad at anybody else, yet again, I say, for feeling the way that they do. You know, it feels like she has betrayed women. It does. And she's paying the price for it. And I do hope to see that she turns around and she makes better business moves going forward, because it's a testament to the fact that no matter how big you are, you do have to be careful with the moves you make. Period. Not everything's just going to fly over. So that's all I really have to say today. Thank you guys for tuning in today. Obviously, this was a nice little conversation about Miss Katy Perry, and I will not be having it again. I promise you that, but it was definitely a topic that needed to be talked about. I don't feel like it has been talked about enough, because I feel like a lot of people, they're like it's something you got to be cautious about when you talk about it. And I'm not getting into any details in regarding the cases or none of that. Nope. You will not get me on this one, boo. But again, I say thank you. I appreciate you. Thank you for tuning in to the That's So Deaf podcast, where you stay true and you stay you. Make sure you follow me on all social media platforms at That's So Deaf, on Twitter, Instagram, Blue Sky, and literally everywhere else, including YouTube, because we kind of popping over there, girl. We just hit 1.5 million, and we're on our way to 2. Okay? Stay tuned. More to come. And I will see you on the next podcast. Peace.